Good morning, children. Welcome back to the lesson The Enemy, written by Pearls S. Buck. Dear children, we already had 5 sessions because I told you this chapter is very lengthy. Okay, so far we discussed about the doctor, his wife Hannah, how they got married, and the American prisoner, how he was washed up to their house, and Hannah washing the soldier, and Shadow's operation done on that American. Then Shadow and Hannah look after the Americans. By then, servants they did not like the soldier being accommodated in their master's house. They all left, and Hannah had to do all the daily chores, right? And the arrival of messenger that frightened Hannah. And finally, when Shadow discussed the matter with the general offered that he would be sending two experts assassin, and they would do the execution or killing of that soldier, and even would carry the dead body, but nothing happened, and Shadow kept on waiting each night, and nothing happened. I think there we stopped, and finally Shadow decided to help the American to escape. Okay, dear children, we are at page number 43. All of you take page number 43. Yes, page number 43. You are well, said Shadow agreed. He lowered his voice. You are so well that I think if I put my boat on the shore tonight with the food and extra clothing in it, you might be able to row to that little island not far from the coast. Actually, in the beginning it is said there is a island yonder, means above that seashore, that would change the future of Japan. And actually it was said by his father to Shadow. It is so near the coast that it has not been worth fortifying. What is fortifying? Strengthening against possible attack. Fortify means strengthening against possible attack, right? Nobody lives on it because in the storm it is submerged, and that island has a specialty. During the storm time it would be submerged underwater, but this is not the season of storm, and now there won't be any submersion that happens. You would live there until you saw a Korean fishing boat. That is very important, that prisoner of war should wait for only a Korean fishing boat. Okay, Korean fishing boat. And they pass quite near the island because the water is many fathoms deep, very deep. Fathom, very measure. The fathom is measure, fathom deep there. So, dear children, this is what is the arrangement that Dr. Soda is going to do to get rid of the man permanently, and that would be a help for him. So, what is the decision? That he would arrange a boat with food and extra clothing to it, and what that man should do, he should go to that one island nearby, and there he would find some Korean fishing boat passing by, and he should ask help from them and should escape. This is what is the final plan, right? Why? Because he was fed up of waiting for the assassin and nothing happened so far. The young man stared at him, slowly comprehending, slowly understanding. Do I have to go? I mean, do I have to do that? He asked. I think so, Shadow said gently. You understand, it is not hidden that you are here. Okay, so you just go. That is the only solution. The young man nodded in perfect comprehension, understanding. Okay, he said simply. Shadow did not see him again until evening. As soon as it was dark, he had dragged the stout boat down to the shore, and in it he put food and bottled water that he had brought secretly during the day, because nobody should come to know about this arrangement, as well as two quilt, the blanket, two quilts he had bought on pawn shop, from pawn shop, kirana shop, kiraya shop, okay, kiraya, you can get it on rent, pawn shop. Okay, so what did he manage from the pawn shop? Two quilt, blanket, because it would be very chilly. So what is required? Quilts. So two quilts he managed from the pawn shop, right? The boat he tied to a post in the water, for the tide was high, there was no moon, and he worked without a flashlight. Actually, the importance is that he should not use a flashlight, because others would come to know something is being done in that seashore. So he arranged food, bottled water, a boat, okay, that is compulsory, boat, food, bottled water, quilts, okay, and without any flash. That is very important. When he came to the house, he entered as though he were just back from his work, but he did not reveal all these things to his wife, it seems, and when Hannah was not knowing anything. Yumi was here today, she said, as she served his supper. Though she was so modern, still she did not eat with him. Yumi cried over the baby. She went on with a sigh. She misses him so. Actually, the wife Hannah informed the husband that Yumi happened to visit her, because she was missing the children very much. The servants will come back as soon as the foreigner is gone, Sado said. Then Sado assured, once this foreigner, this soldier, disappear from their house, the servant would come back. He went into the guest room that night before he went to bed himself and checked carefully the American's temperature, because he is a very renowned doctor. He wanted to see that his patient in good health. So once again he checked the temperature, the state of the wound, and his heart and pulse. The pulse was irregular, but that was because of excitement. The young man's pale lips were pressed together and his eyes burned. Only the scars on his neck were red. So the patient was almost okay because of some excitement. That scar is visible in red color. I realize you are saving my life again, he told Sado. This is a very meaningful sentence, I realize you are saving my life again. One way he saved his life from that wound, that is first time. Again means again facilitating him with a boat and food, everything, so that he will escape from the hands of the Japanese. He can reach Korea with Korean boat. Okay, not at all, said Sado. It is only inconvenient to have you here any longer. Actually, doctor intention is not to save him, but he says because he is inconvenient. His presence is an inconvenience for them. He had hesitated a good deal about giving the man a flashlight. Okay, he is providing him a flashlight, but he had decided to give it to him after all. It was a small one, his own, which he used at night when he was called. When he goes to his patient during night hours, he used this small torch with him. So this flashlight he is going to give to the prisoner of war or the soldier. Why? Because he had to manage the darkness. Okay. So there is another indication that let us learn, children. If your food runs out before you catch a boat, he said, signal me 2 flashes. This is very important again, that 2 flashes to show there is a shortage of food. At the same instant, the sun drops over the horizon. Okay, horizon. Okay, do not signal in darkness, for it will be seen. That is, the instruction is there. He should not give the signal in darkness. When can he give the signal? Only when the sun drops over the horizon. Okay, when the sun and the sea meets together, that is called horizon. Okay, and he should not signal at night because others will come to know. What is the signal? 2-time torches, 2-time flash. I mean 2 flashes for running short of food. And if you are all right but still there, but if he has food and he is all right there, signal me 1. So there can be a short answer question for you. What way or what signal should the soldier give with the torchlight? 2 flashes for running short of food, 1 signal, 1 flash that he is okay there, and no flash means he escaped the place. And you will find fresh fish easy to catch it, but you must eat them raw. And again he will get food. Suppose even food shortage is there, he can catch fish, but he should not cook the food, because that light will be visible and the fire will be seen, people can catch you. Okay, so dear children, these are the instructions given to him before he starts his journey. Okay, the young man breathed. He was dressed now in Japanese cloth which Sado had given him. So people should not identify him easily, so Sado has given him a Japanese cloth. And at the last moment Sado wrapped a black cloth about his blonde head, means his light colored head is there, that should be covered with a black cloth, so that nobody should easily identify him that he is from America. Now Sado said. The young American without a word shook Sado's hand warmly and then walked quite well across the floor and down the step into the darkness of the garden. Once, twice. What do you mean by this? Once, twice. That is about the flashlight. He is reminding him once again. But Sado saw his light flash to find his way, but that would not be suspected. He waited until from the shore there was one more flash, then he closed the partition. That night he slept. So reaching there, he gave one flashlight that shows he is okay there. Okay, that night he had a very sound sleep. That means he could send the man to safety. You say the man escaped? The general asked faintly. That means next day he went to the general to say that man escaped. Actually, who helped him to escape? Sado himself. Why? Because the general failed in his mission of sending the 2 assassins. Now he says that man escaped. He had been operated upon a week before, an emergency operation to which Sado had been called in the night. Actually, by then the general had his operation done. When was it done? 2 weeks back. Okay. For 12 hours Sado had not been sure the general would live. The gallbladder was much involved. Then the old man had begun to breathe deeply again and to demand food. That is a good symptom. If a patient demands food, that means he is recuperating. So generally say, okay, now Sado had not been able to ask about the assassins. Actually, during that 2 weeks time, 1 week time. That 1 week time he did not ask about the assassin. So far as he knew, they had never come. The 7 had returned and Yumi had cleaned the guest room thoroughly, and she had burned sulfur in it to get the white man smell out of it. That much repulsion is there. She burned sulfur to avoid the smell of the white man or odor of that white man. Nobody said anything. Only the gardener was cross, means unhappy and angry, because he had got behind with his chrysanthemum. His plants in his absence became weak. That's why he is angry. Okay. But after a week, Sado felt the general was well enough to be spoken to about the prisoner. Then he said, "Yes, Excellency, he escaped," Sado now said. He coughed, signifying that he had not said all he might have said, but was unwilling to disturb the general further. But the old man opened his eyes suddenly. "That prisoner," he said with some energy, "did I not promise you I would kill him for you?" Suddenly he remembered his dialogue. Once he promised he would be sending the assassin, that he remembered. Okay, you can see Sado one end and the prisoner of war going, right? You did, Excellency, Shadow said. Well, well, the old man said in a tone of amazement. So I did, but you see, I was suffering a good deal. The truth is, I thought of nothing but myself. In short, I forgot my promise to you. So, dear children, this you have to underline and learn, because the general actually forgotten the thing because of his personal suffering. So, when somebody is sick, he will be much indulged with his health only. It does not mean that the general is not a patriot. I wondered, Your Excellency, Shadow murmured. It was certainly very careless of me, the general said. But see, this dialogue, he says he is very careless. The general said, but you understand it was not lack of patriotism or dereliction of duty. What do you mean by dereliction of duty? When you are not responsible, then you call dereliction. Okay, so it is not dereliction of duty. It is not the responsibility from the side of that general. He looked anxiously at the doctor. If the matter should come out, you would understand that, wouldn't you? Certainly, Your Excellency, Shadow said. He suddenly comprehended that the general was in the palm of his hand, and that as a consequence, he himself was perfectly safe. Now, had the things come out to the people to know about the prisoner of war, everything would be disturbed. Even the doctor would be arrested, general would die, but nothing happened. So he feels that the general is in his palm of his hand, means general will not do anything wrong with the doctor now. I can swear to your loyalty, Excellency, he said to the old general, and to your zeal against the enemy. And he assures, he is just praising general, his zeal, interest against the enemy. You are a good man, the general murmured and closed his eyes. You will be rewarded. But the general said, okay, Mr. Shadow, you are a good man and you will be rewarded for what you have done. That means he saved the life of the general. But Shadow, searching the spot of black in the twilight means that sunset time is called twilighted time, because that is the only time he should give the flashlight, and he was waiting for the flashlight, had his reward. What do you mean by this? That day he was waiting for the torchlight or the flash, and he got his real reward. Actually, reward is offered by the general, but he got another reward. What is that? There was no prick of light in that dust. That means the prisoner of war, the soldier, got his escape with the help of a Korean ship, because he is instructed only to take resort from the Korean ship only. No one was on the island. His prisoner was gone, safe, doubtless, for he had warned him to wait only for the Korean fishing boat. That is the real reward. Dear children, there will be a question, what is the real reward for the doctor here? Because now he is safe, because that prisoner escaped. He stood for a moment on the veranda, gazing out to the sea from whence the young man had come that other night, and into his mind, although without reason, there came other white faces he had known. Actually, now he is recalling about the presence of this man, how he came, how he got washed ashore near to his house, and suddenly he remembered all the white faces he had known, because he studied in America. The professor at the house, first of all he remembered the professor at whose house he had met Hannah, how he happened to meet Hannah, how he started loving her, and a dull man, the professor was a dull man, and his wife had been silly, talkative woman, very voluble lady, in spite of her wish to be kind. He remembered the old teacher of anatomy who had been so insistent on mercy with the knife, and when he remembered the face of his fat and slatternly landlady, all these people he remembered now. Because of that great professor, now he is a perfect doctor. He had great difficulty in finding a place to live in America because he was a Japanese. The Americans were full of prejudice, and it had been bitter to live in it, knowing himself their superior. how he had disliked the ignorant and dirty old woman, the landlady, who had at last consented to house him in her miserable home, very unhappy home. He had once tried to be grateful to her because she had in his last year nursed him through. Actually, he disliked that landlady because of her nature, the ugliness, that miserable lady. But once he happened to like her because he had pneumonia, influenza there, and that lady treated him, nursed him. But it was difficult, for she was no less repulsive, means disliking to him in her kindness. Now he remembered the youthful, haggard face, tired face of his prisoner, white and repulsive, disliking. Strange, he thought, I wonder why I could not kill him. So this last dialogue is showing that the doctor was quite a patriot. Okay, so dear children, there will be question whether the doctor shadow a patriot, a true patriot. You have to support the statement and to tell both the doctor and the general were true patriots. They tried to avoid the prisoner of war, but both failed in one way or the other way. But finally, who got his escape? The prisoner of war got his escape. So dear children, that is the end of the lesson. I think it's a big mission for me to complete in this way. Actually a summary would do, but the thing is that in the point of examination, they can ask a question from any nook and corner from this lesson. So I think I could do justice with my explanation. And before winding, let us make a quick review of what we have already discussed for the day. Today we started with the plan to save the man by providing both food materials and a torchlight. The torchlight is to give signal. If there are two flashlights at the twilight time, it shows that the man is running short of food. If there is only one flashlight, that shows the man is safe in that island. And the man was instructed not to make fire to cook fish, because that fire would be seen and people would come and catch him. Okay, then the doctor also would be in trouble. So before going, he was given Japanese cloth, and even he was given black cloth to apply on his blonde head. That white colored hair should be hidden. So that part is done well, and finally doctor disclosed the matter to the general, and the general had his operation 1 week before and was in his recuperation period. And finally, when doctor expressed shared the news that the prisoner escaped, general felt very bad, because he offered to assassin, but he could not do that because of his own personal sufferings. And now that he offered a good reward for his service as a doctor, he saved the life of general, but the real reward came in the form of the escape of that prisoner, and he declared that it was his real reward, and he could find no flashlight. That shows that prisoner of war got his escape with the help of a Korean fishing boat. Dear children, and suddenly he remembered all the faces, the white faces, because he studied in America, and how difficult it was for him to find a place to live in. And an old American lady, the landlady, very, very dirty lady, slatternly lady, okay, untidy lady, accommodated him. And though he was disliking that lady, once he had to love her because she nursed him when he had influenza. So dear children, that is the end of the lesson. Now write down all the question answers with the help of that NCERT solution, and with this we conclude and have a pleasant day ahead. Thank you. Bye.